Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We are from the third group. Today, we are going to present our discussion regarding literasi lintas mata pelajaran, ruang kolaborasi, topik 3. And this is our group member. My name is Afina Pradini. And then there is Sri Putri Ramadhani. And then Sulistia Alfiani. And then Shifa Aulia. And then last, Yurika Resti. This is the case description. The example data above is a fictional representation created to illustrate a literacy skills map of students in a fictional class. The first row indicates that 8 students are unable to recall prior knowledge that could be used to understand a text. Meanwhile, 12 students can recall prior knowledge but cannot yet explain how they use it to comprehend the text. 7 students already have the ability to use prior knowledge and can explain how they apply it to understand the text. And this data suggests that most students still lack sufficient ability to utilize prior knowledge in text comprehension. So teachers can use this data to set learning objectives such as training students in various strategies to activate their prior knowledge. So, after exploring the concept of AN or AKM, you will discuss the use of cognitive process assessment in the fictional class above. Try to continue interpreting the assessment data based on the number of students in each cognitive process category. Then discuss the following questions with the groups, which what we've done before. So the first question is which cognitive process is the most difficult for students in the fictional class above? Then, based on the scoring guide, what difficulties do students experience in each cognitive process? And then, if you were the teacher of that class, what learning objective would you set based on assessment data above? Okay, the first question would be which cognitive process is the most difficult for students in the fictional class above? So, based on the table above, the most complex cognitive process for students in the fictional class is defining vocabulary correctly. This can be seen from the number of students who are able to carry out this process, only 2 people. In contrast, 3 students were only able to quote definitions of vocabulary from the text, and 22 students were unable to define vocabulary correctly. Therefore, teachers can focus learning on strategies to help students create vocabulary definition in text, such as providing practice defining from vocabulary from the certain text, and then teacher can also invite students to define vocabulary based on its context in the text. Then the teacher can also give examples of how a word has different meanings depending on the sentence or situation in which it is used.
And then the teacher can teach how to create paraphrase based on the definition of vocabulary in the text to achieve a deeper understanding. Then the teacher can ask students to restate the vocabulary definitions in their own words after reading them in the text. In the context of learning English, the teacher can use interactive dictionaries and teach students how to use dictionaries effectively, both printed and digital ones. Here, the teacher can guide students in finding word meanings, synonyms, antonyms, and word usage in sentence. With these strategies, it is expected that students will find it easier to understand and master vocabulary definition, which will support their comprehension in reading and also writing.
So next question, based on the scoring guide, what difficulties do students experience in each cognitive process? So in the presented table before, it can be seen that the number of students who are able to complete each cognitive process varies, indicating that each cognitive process has a different level of difficulty. So the difficulties experienced by the student cover various aspects, such as the first, utilizing prior knowledge. In here, a student may struggle to connect previously learned information with a new material. They might feel confused or uncertain about how to use prior knowledge to understand new concepts in the text. The second, there is summarizing. So when summarizing, students often have difficulty selecting relevant information and eliminating unnecessary details. So they may also struggle to reorganize the information clearly and concisely without losing the core meaning of the material. And the third, making inferences requires the ability to read between the lines and connect information that is not explicitly stated. So students may struggle to draw logical conclusion or understand the implied meaning within the text.
Okay, so to continue the explanation from Sulis, here are the points to add that the difficulties students in metacognitive. The first, connecting information in the text, which is connecting information in different texts or between text and personal experience can be difficult for learners. Why? Because they may have difficulty seeing the relationship between parts of the text or between the text and the real world, thus making their understanding incomplete. So the next point, understanding vocabulary, which the learners often have difficulty understanding the meaning of new or difficult vocabulary. They may have difficulty defining these words precisely in certain contexts, which can hinder the overall understanding of the text. So the last is the metacognitions, which is the metacognition process, which involves understanding and managing one's own way of thinking, is often a challenge. The learners may not always be aware of the strategies they use in learning or may have difficulty to evaluate how effective the strategies are in helping their understanding. By realizing these difficulties, teachers can design more effective learning strategies and provide more targeted support to help students overcome these obstacles.
So for the last questions, if you were the teacher of that class, what a learning objective would you set based on the assessment data above? Well, based on the assessment data, the learning objective to be set is to train students to accurately and effectively define vocabulary and understanding a text. This can be achieved by teaching a various strategy that helps students recognize, remember, and use new vocabulary, as well as accurately define and paraphrase based on definitions within the text. Students will be encouraged to use contextual clues such as synonym, antonym, and surrounding textual hints to determine word meaning. Additionally, they will practice defining words preciously and paraphrasing content based on textual definition, ensuring a deeper and more flexible understanding of vocabulary. Beyond vocabulary development, the learning objective will also emphasize the integrations of prior knowledge with the new material. Students will engage in activity that prompt them to draw connections between the vocabulary concept and new idea presented in the text. This will help them build a more coherent understanding of the material and apply their existing knowledge to interpret information effectively. And additionally, the learning objective will also focus on developing skill in connecting prior knowledge with new material and explaining how this knowledge is used to understand the text, summarize, make inferences, build connections within the text, and enhance student metacognitions. Well, with this, they will learn to assess their understanding, identify effectively reading strategy, and adjust their approach based on the complexity of the text. By strengthening their metacognitive awareness, students will become more independent and adaptable learner, capable of approaching various texts with competence and critical insight. Overall, this comprehensive learning objective aims not only to improve vocabulary comprehension but also to develop essential reading skill, critical thinking ability, and metacognitive awareness, ultimately empowering students to engage with text more deeply and meaningfully.
Okay, so the conclusion for these discussions, as teachers, to help students define vocabulary in a text, teachers can apply several strategies such as using sentence context to understand word meanings, practicing synonyms and antonyms to expand comprehension, utilizing interactive dictionaries, and encouraging paraphrasing to assess students' understanding. Additionally, strategies like concept maps or word mapping, context-based learning, class discussion, and the use of vocabulary cards can enhance students' mastery and retention of new words or new vocabulary. With this approach, students are expected to define vocabulary more accurately and improve the overall understanding of the text. Okay, so that is from our group. Thanks. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.